So the EU AI Act finally got approved on 14th March 2024. And over this video, I'm going to talk you through everything you need to know because this is a huge step, especially from the standpoint of regulations and ethics in AI. It was first proposed in April 21st, 2021. And then over the next 2 years of 2021 and 2023, there was constant discussion with respect to what the act can have and a lot of consultation during this period. In June 14, 2023, they decided to move the legislation forward, and that's where the approval process really began. Almost a year later, on March 13, 2024, it got approved with a significant majority of MEPs supporting the legislation. Now, what a time for it to get approval, especially when things like Figure 01, a humanoid robot that almost seems like AGI, has come into picture. Recently, Devin, the first AI software engineer, that led to an outcry on Twitter with respect to it replacing developers. And then obviously there is constant goal of OpenAI and a bunch of other companies to achieve AGI. And it said that the first sparks of AGI will be visible this year. Now, this is where you can read everything about the act, and this is what we'll be going through itself. I'm going to break everything down for you and help you understand what means what, so that you have some understanding with respect to at least the main things from the act. So the act obviously aims to provide developers and deployers with clear requirements and obligations regarding the specific uses of AI. Their goal is obviously to also not impact small companies that don't have the capacity to, take into consideration the additional administration burden and financial burden that will come by following the regulations of the act. So they've also proposed, certain packages for these small, medium-sized businesses, and that's also something I'll talk about in a bit. The core of the act itself is to govern the use of AI systems according to a risk-based approach, categorizing AI systems into four main categories based on potential risk they pose to the society. And they obviously have, stringent rules for systems that are considered high risk before they even enter the EU market. And while there will also be general regulations or obligations for the systems that don't pose high risk but are in some way or the other related to AI. This is the world's first comprehensive AI implementation and is, obviously built in order to address the risk that is created by tools like these. Or, there was also a news of a new virus that was launched recently. You can see this AI worm can steal your data. So the goal here is to kind of address all of these issues with the act. But if you look here, obviously they don't want to create burdens on these small and medium-sized businesses. So they have announced two of these things. First is the AI innovation package, and you can read about it here. Second is the coordinated plan on AI. Obviously, the goal here is to support startup and small enterprises in developing trustworthy AI technologies, emphasizing that whatever they create are safe, transparent, and fair. And with the innovation package, the businesses will have access to European supercomputers, allowing them to have, significant computational support for AI training and development. The coordinated plan on AI is again, some of the European companies coming together to scale the AI innovation overall. You can see the goal here is to strengthen uptake, investment, innovation in AI across EU. The reason why the act was created in the first place is to address risks specifically created by AI applications, prohibit AI practices that pose unacceptable risks. There are again a bunch of different pointers here, but this is not the first one to say that they require a conformity assessment before a given AI system is put into service. Recently in India, there was also an advisory by MeitY, which is the IT department of India, that before you start deploying or training any model, there should be an approval coming from the IT department. And after they test your model, that's only post that point you can deploy your model. You can see this is the article that talks about this. Again, while this is not a law, this is an advisory. And it was later clarified that this does not apply to small companies, similar to what you would also see here. So they are kind of trying to take a risk-free approach for smaller startups, but not completely letting them go from the regulatory framework. And the reason why at least the Indian regulation happened is because the recent outcry of the Gemini model, that called the Indian Prime Minister a fascist. And I think there was also an outcry in the US when it comes to the image generation. When users entered any prompts to create AI generated images of people, Gemini was largely showing them results featuring people of color, whether appropriate or not. And at this point of time, they've completely taken down their own image generator and none of us can currently access it. This is surprising given that Google has its own set of AI regulations in place, and the fact that they themselves weren't able to follow it It's kind of shocking, right? Getting back to the EU AI Act, let's take a look at each of these pointers. First, address risks specifically created by AI application. The goal here is to ensure transparency and to have human oversight to address the risk of opaque decision making process. Prohibit AI practices that pose unacceptable risks, such as toys that can give weird answers to children that can potentially cause harm. And then the third goal is to obviously identify high risk applications where, either not the correct data storing policy is followed, or there is no privacy policy direct, or there is no direct privacy policy in place. And then there will obviously be like an assessment and guidelines for a system like that. There will be rules for people who deploy and develop these applications, get some sort of testing and approval done before these are deployed. And again, there are, fines in scenarios where this is not followed, so such as 35 million or 7% of the total worldwide annual turnover for violations of the banned AI applications. And finally, establish a government structure at European and national level. Then they have the risk based approach where they will categorize the applications in unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. This is obviously based on the potential danger these applications might pose. And the goal here is again that AI systems are developed and used in a manner that is safe and respects the fundamental right of the user. The unacceptable risk, the first category or the unacceptable risk, are the applications that pose a clear threat to people's safety, livelihoods, and rights are outrightly banned. Now, these are systems like social scoring by governments and AI systems that use voice assistants to encourage dangerous actions or behaviors. Then the second category is high risk. This category includes AI system used in critical areas such as biometrics, critical infrastructure, education, employment, and access to essential services. Again, there will be stringent fines in scenarios where if the application comes under the purview of the act and the rules are broken, there will be fines. Then the third ones are limited risk applications, and they are subject to specific transparency obligations, such as, for example, users should be informed when they are interacting with these systems. And these are things like chatbot AI generated content that needs to be labeled as such. Then finally, minimal or no risk applications. And these are all the AI systems. This is the category that contains like the majority of the AI systems, AI enabled video games, spam filters, and there are no restrictions as such when it comes to these scenarios. You can see the examples of the high risk here, and I think I mentioned most of these: educational or vocational training that may determine the access to education and professional course of someone's life. The scoring of exam is also high risk system, AI assisted robot surgery, CV sorting software for recruitment procedures, credit score denying citizens opportunity to obtain a loan, evaluation of reliability of evidence. So almost like majority of the AI use case that generative AI has built right now come into the category. And then there are high risk systems, then there are the limited risk systems, and minimal or no risk systems. So how does it all work in practice for providers of high risk AI systems? So after the system is developed, it needs to undergo the conformity assessment and comply with AI requirements. Then there's some sort of registration that needs to be done, and a declaration of conformity needs to be signed, and the AI system should bear the CE marking, and post this the system can be placed in the market. If something fails, they go back to step 2 and fill the form again, and there's the whole process that happens again. You can see they also specify that because AI models are evolving and are becoming important components of AI systems, it is difficult to know what they can and cannot do, which is why they have this general transparency obligations in place in order to ensure that the users know how these models are working and what the companies are doing with their data. The proposal, obviously, in their terms, has a future proof approach. Unfortunately, the proposal does not talk anything about AGI specifically. Now, while it does address things like, transport, scoring of exams, and so on, it does not specifically talk anything directly about AGI. I'm assuming some of these things will fall under the purview of AGI, but I would have been interested to read more about artificial general intelligence, because that's what a lot of companies are gunning for at this point of time. Then finally, enforcement wise, the European AI office established in Feb 24 will within the commission oversees this act. And then when will this be implemented? 20 days from the announcement of the act is when this will come into force. And the 20 days are to ensure that there's some sort of transition period for stakeholders to prepare for compliance and new regulation. Prohibitions, meaning the lack prohibitions or bans will start taking place after 6 months, And this will include bans on manipulative AI, exploitative AI practices, social scoring by public authorities, and all the high risk or unacceptable risk scenarios. For the general purpose AI rules, they will come 12 months down the line. AI models become applicable after 12 months, and the rules for AI systems embedded into regulated products will apply after 36 months. So, again, we went through the entire act, and this seems like an interesting step towards the introduction of ethics and regulations in AI. At this point of time, there was nothing that talked about the regulations like these, but this is a very interesting development. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out over the next few months.